Mm-mm-mm-mm. Good news, everyone. Wow, Streambot on time. Based. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, notify me. Hello, hello, hello. Awesome. What's going on, guys? Hope you're all doing well. Hope the streaming is not super, super, super laggy and super based. We're going to read some more operational security, privacy, anonymity, and deniability from the Bible itself. I think it's a really good resource. It is still heavily maintained, obviously. Very based, very cool, very awesome. We're gonna look at some OSINT framework support as well. I think that the OSINT framework is kind of cool. Oh, nice. That is their Git T, I believe. And then this is a good one. Never tell your bank you brought crypto. It's kind of too late for me, but my bank knows. Well, we're gonna figure out why you shouldn't. I mean, the point of crypto is being sovereign as possible. What's up, the icon 2020? The icon 2020. You should respect. Your bank should respect you and your decisions. I kind of disappeared for a day or two, I believe. I was building my radar stack to obtain legally pirated movies. I would never commit such a heinous crime against Sony. They are making millions of dollars. And I know that me looking at Spider-Man for free is going to financially ruin them. But I'm back. I'm almost done with my radar stack, and then I just got a rack in, a network rack for my Pis to be shoved in. I'm going to redo my whole home network in like a week or two, maybe 3. So everything's it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like cool to tear everything down and then like rebuild it. This is why backups are cool and important, and you should always do your backups. Because because you quite literally don't know when you might have to like redo everything, and it's better to be safe than sorry, to be able to save yourself some really cool giant pictures of milkers or whatever. So we'll look at the OPSEC Bible continuously, because I think it's a good amount of resource, and for most people that come across it don't maybe read it or give it the chance or even know about it. So maybe in future videos, people sit down and listen to me rant for an hour or two. They will figure out why it's super based and super cool to educate yourself about good OPSEC and how to compartmentalize everything that you do. There are good times to expose public information where it might be for a legal reason, and there are bad times to do it. I mean, deniability is great. I have a backup for my backup. You should have a backup for your backup. If you don't have a backup for your backup, you are not having a good time. So always good to keep your backups. All right, so we're gonna, and actually, you want to make sure you keep your backups encrypted, local, for the important stuff that you don't want people to see. Backups have ruined people and burned them. As we've learned, people have done backups, and it has made big oopsie daisies. There's that guy that did he backed up his whole directory to something, and it exposed a lot of stuff about him, and he got caught by the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and they investigated into his balls. Okay, so introduction. Let's say you read this article and decided to prepare for the arrival of central bank digital currencies by purchasing Monero based. Consider that banks work closely with governments, and CBDs are heavily considered as a means of governments to maintain control over its citizens. How do you think bank would react? No surprise, they'll likely react negative. Government central banks formula requires requirements, restrictions, guidelines, and banking institutions. What can you say to your bank? If you are aware about banks and governments react to it, you probably understand that you are openly telling your bank you're buying cryptocurrencies, especially privacy-focused ones, is not a great idea. Here's how it goes. Phone rings. Hello, bank. Is this your bank? This is your bank advisor. We noticed several recent money transfers from your bank and would like to understand their purpose. You? Oh, yes. I bought some Monero. It's a privacy-focused cryptocurrency. Are you familiar with it? Bank, yes. I'm aware. Thank you for the information. A few minutes later, your bank account is frozen. Suspicious activity. I don't think that... I'm not going to say this hasn't happened, but this seems like it does not happen. Also, who would do that? They were like, hello? Mr. Advisor? Would you like to know that I have bought the privacy-focused Monero? I highly doubt even banks know what the fuck Monero is. Just some random, financial advisor. I mean, I think I've only had one conversation with someone about Monero like maybe two in public, that saw a Monero sticker that I had, and they're like, I'm like, is that Monero? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, cool. And that's it. As far as what, you know what I mean? Like, it's, wow, that's Cash, Monero for privacy. What's up, Billy? You done compiling Gen 2? But it's just, I just don't think that this would, I mean, I could eat my own words. Just this doesn't seem realistic. Here's what you could say to avoid red flags. I went to the flea market, street market, bazaar, and bought a couple watches. They were quite expensive, and I didn't have enough cash with me, so I transferred the money directly to the seller, which is easier. If you use RetroSwap to buy Monero, your transaction is impossible to trace without clear evidence. The bank may only have a suspicious, which is less risky that they're confirming your cryptocurrency purchase, unless, of course, the person you traded with reports the transaction to the authorities, which is highly unlikely. Cash is freedom. Yeah, but like Cash is... There's a few problems with Cash, and I mean, if you understand like just simple economic policies, Cash it has a physical deteriorating aspect. That's the first problem. So it devalues it. I'm not going to jump in line and say like the government prints unlimited money. I believe that it's from an actual institution standpoint, they print money that it is allocated on stuff that they are going to spend on. So I wouldn't call it a infinite money printer that they just print this ungodly amount of money. But because they print the currency, and we do, if you know, society as a society we spend less, this causes like an increased supply. That increased supply reduces its value, etc., etc. Same thing with, I mean, like, I think most economists agree that most currencies have an inflationary aspect, and that is because they know that goods and services will rise with inflation. This inflation will take your dollar, that's still a dollar, and take away pieces of it. Like your dollar will not buy a dollar worth of goods anymore. You will need $2 to buy you'll need $2 instead of a dollar. So that's the problem. Monero's does have a problem, and it's mainly with liquidity. But this is a more complex situation. The bank knows you took out $500, but they don't know what you buy with cash unless they follow your phone and your location, like in the movies. That's true. You could say the same thing with Monero. I'm just talking about a physical problems with cash. And actually, anything over a certain amount of transactions in a certain period of days is recorded that you did do it. So if you want to go down to even darker history, so if say you need to buy a car for $10,000, it's recorded. It's reported. If you make over $600, even if you need to pull out $10,000 of your own money to buy a vehicle, it is reported and it is recorded. Which kind of is very stupid. Like, you don't need to be doing that. It's my money. I mean, I may say stupid shit tonight on Lit. Maybe you shouldn't be smoking the illegal drugs. But that's the problem. Monero kind of solves that problem because no amount of transactions can be recorded. It doesn't matter if I give someone $100,000 worth of Monero, or $5,000 worth of Monero, or $1,000 worth of Monero, or $4 worth of Monero. It's not traced. So that is fundamentally the difference. But you shouldn't tell your bank that you bought crypto. Now, Monero's privacy feature is so good that you could probably do a lot of swapping with Monero where the traceability just gets lost in the sauce, obviously. No drugs. Don't be one of those people that smokes weed and says it's not a drug, though. Those people are gay. Weed's definitely a drug. Alcohol is a drug. I'm not going to be lame and say caffeine's a drug because we know, but it's just those people that say that because they think they're smart or something. But I found out Jehovah's Witnesses can't consume caffeine even. I think that's them. Mormons. Mormons are the ones that can't consume caffeine. I think that it's against because it's considered a drug. If the bank's back to this. If you use Retrospective by Monero, transactions are impossible to trace without clear evidence. If the bank asks for proof, such as a receipt, you can explain that it was a street market vendor that has no receipt provided. This is common and generally accepted if needed. You can also explain that you may have been scammed and the watches or jewelry or item didn't turn out to be worth report appearing a bit naive in this context can actually help your case. Caffeine is my favorite drug, same. Uncommon Sense, what up? Morning. They have special undies. What? Oh, no. Oh, beer. Beer good. Oh, yeah, they do. I think they got some weird... Yeah, Mormons are fucking... Their whole fucking shit is... What else is like XMR? There are a few coins that forked XMR. Wow, Narrow. Unironically, the meme coin is similar to Monero, but there's also Pirate Chain, I believe, forked Monero. Litecoin has something called Mimblewimbo that's supposed to be private. I hear American is going to require banks to report withdrawal of 1,000 or more. It's not 1,000, but right now it is 10,000. I don't know about the 1,000 or more. I would have to actually look into that, though. There's Pirate Chain, which, like XMR, Cash. Yeah, you could say Cash, but Cash has a lot of issues. It has problems. Cash is cool, but it's a bad asset to hold. That's why no one tells you to hold Cash. It's just a bad asset. It's inflationary. If you held $10,000 for the last 10 years, you lost money. It's worthless. It's like it's a bad asset because there is some economic theory. When you have too high of inflation, people don't spend money because they can't afford stuff. And then if you get too low of inflation, people think it's called negative inflation. It's where you think that like it'll go lower, so you stop spending your money. It's because people don't value cash as a store value, and it has less purchasing power. So cash isn't king anymore. It never really was. It's always been a bad asset. It's why people haven't held it. Land, the most important asset actually out of anything is land. Land is the most important asset. You can't do shit without land. Land is probably fundamentally the best thing you could own. And actually, you're better off just putting your money into the stock market and seeing a return. Because again, cash is pretty bad, and you can do loans against it, minus the privacy problems of it. I mean, if you're just asking me on a financial level, later, Billy. Have fun compiling Gen 2. Fundamental level, land is the best asset. The not housing, like everyone thinks, land. Land is the best asset to own. You don't have land, cannot do anything. You need land for everything. Banks and governments relationships, yeah, actually since the bank regulatory system that I was reading about, pretty much took over in like 18 or 1900s. Officially, the governments regulate the banking industry to ensure stability, protects consumers, and prevent financial crisis. This includes setting rules on lending, interest rates, liquidity, capital requirements. For example, central banks like the Federal Reserve of the U.S. or the European Central Bank are responsible for setting monetary policy, which directly influences how commercial banks operate. I hear and read well. Go back to 2008 again. Stock market milestone. No, I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna go that. That was just because ninja loans were very popular at the time. People were getting loans they couldn't pay back. I mean, buy now, pay later is kind of like at its peak, and that's not good because people are buying now more stuff now, and they're buying more stuff now, but they don't have the assets to pay it back. So I think those things are retarded, and those will probably crash. And we're probably in a slight AI correction bubble, but no one knows when it's going to crash. But I don't think 2008. was due to the fact that people were literally getting housing loans that they couldn't afford. People don't even want loans now. People can't even get a house now because it's not even the interest rate that's the problem. The big problem is the lack of housing and boomers asking like $400K for a fucking house. Like, you got to be smoking crack to think that you should pay. I see people bragging that they get a house for $300,000, and it's like a fucking it's like 200 square feet. Like, do you, King, man? At least you're gonna own it. But also, again, I think it kind of depends. You mean Chipotle money? Don't forget your Chipotle money. Yeah, you can't. The biggest issue is your country's currency needs to have good significant buying power, and people need to have a reason to spend something to see a return, aka a house, aka maybe a car, but cars are kind of like worthless. If that money doesn't get you as far as it used to, like maybe like 3 to 5 years ago, which it's not going to, you're going to then hoard your money. You're going to sit on it, and it's going to depreciate. And because it's depreciating faster and faster and faster and faster, I think we'll go through like maybe some micro corrections. And there's not really an answer for that. I think the answer is put your money into assets that grow. So like the difference between the dollar and Monero is Monero over a period of time. This isn't financial advice or anything, but Monero's technology is what makes it give its value. I think that's the core, gives it its core value. Nothing else. Tailed missions have been, I think the last mined block, actual mined admissions by XMR, Bitcoin, or real metals. Yeah, those are assets that are growing over time. Monero's outperformed a lot of Bitcoin in the last year because it has more room to grow. Bitcoin's just so big and it's very manipulated, and the government's getting involved in it. I'm not a fan of that. I don't want a Bitcoin reserve. I don't care what people say. I think that's bad. I also think people that want a Bitcoin reserve don't fucking know what Bitcoin is. They just want to I think the federal government owns I believe one of the largest amounts of Bitcoin at this point, from seizures and like other shit. But it's not a good thing. Real metal. I mean, I have my personal take on gold and stuff, and like metals. I think they're worthless, but that's my personal take. I don't like I don't like metals. I don't like gold. I don't really see a need for gold because I think I was reading some interesting insights on people that get gold wrong. They say it's like it's supposed to hedge against inflation, but if inflation is so high, people aren't buying gold. It doesn't matter what the price of gold is. People aren't buying it when inflation is high. It's supposed to, you're supposed to just have it in case, like, because gold might be able to surpass like inflationary costs. Cash is hard to use. I tried spending $900 recently and the clerk had to get a manager to come out, and this was a big box store. Yeah, it's, some places are accepting it less. That's what we were doing on Bitcoin. Yeah, it's just FOMO. And no one knew where Bitcoin was going to go. Anyone who said that they knew are lying. Bitcoin could have crashed tomorrow. Bitcoin could have had a bug in it and had a backdoor in it. No one. A lot of these people were just guessing, throwing their money. They're gambling. Anyone who said that Bitcoin was going to hit a certain price point was lying. They're just making it up, or they were guessing, and they were acting like they knew. That's like how most assets are. I mean, it's just, you don't know. There's assets out there that are relatively good to guess at. I mean, S&P 500 is done. We have 50 years of experience, like 50 years of data with it, that it returns about 10% a year. It's pretty normal. Even under like the highest inflation that we hit, silver is about to blow the F up. We don't know that. Everyone says it. It's just, I mean, are there indicators of like people switching to a certain? Sure, I can go look at I can pull up a stock market, see how much volume is going into a certain asset. What are companies buying? What are people buying? Sure, I'm making a more educated guess, but we don't know wherever no one knows where the market goes under the highest inflation. under the previous administration, the S&P 500, the stock market did fucking records. AI carried it, but fucking record. I mean, who thought that Nvidia was going to make people millionaires overnight, or Doge, or GameStop? You know, shit like that. It's just all it is a guessing game. It's all a guessing game, I swear. I don't care what I don't know. I'm just not. That's one of my tinfoil hats. I'm never convinced that there's forward-thinking like people that were like, I just knew it was going to be. There's assets that have 100,000x some other assets, you know. And they're like just no name. They're like regular companies that you don't even think about, like Pepsi and shit. Why don't you buy, instead of drinking Pepsi? Why don't you buy Pepsi? It's just, that's what it sounds like. Stock market is a casino, basically. Yeah, I would say it's a casino to a certain degree, with a lot of stuff. But there's probably like assets that you could, like ETFs are pretty safe. Blue chip stocks, like companies that have been around for like 100 plus years. Now, under like actual free market, like some free market like form of capitalism, a lot of these stocks wouldn't exist with all the fuck ups they made. I mean, that'll agree. Like Boeing should be fucking bankrupt by now, but it has too many government contracts. I don't think they'll ever go bankrupt. And they had shit fall out of the sky. I want you to think about Boeing had shit falling out of the sky, and someone mysteriously killed themselves, and they're still around, which is absolutely insane. If you really, really think about it, Boeing is still a company. Think about that one. With all the mistakes. I understand mistakes happen, but all those mistakes. That's just something to think about. So, banks, governments, relationships, regulation, and oversight. Officially, governments regulate the banking industry. In practice, however, governments often struggle with managing their own budgets and are frequently the cause of financial crisis. In many cases, the regulation of banking system serves more to control the economy and the population to protect it. We did have I think we've had tons of micro. We've had micro financial flash crashes in the last 5 to 10 years. How do you control money supply, interest rates? That's how. By making money easier to get, lowering your interest rate, you can increase consumer spending. By making money harder to get, increase your interest rate, you can slow down the economy when it's needed. Boeing is tied to the Intel community. Yeah. But not only that, I'm just saying they have under an actual company that has made that many mistakes, their stock should have went. Cloudflare too. Cloudflare and what's the other one? There's another one. Their stock should have gone to zero because of how much mistakes they've made. It's not tiny mistakes either. Cloudflare should have went fucking bankrupt by now. They shouldn't even exist, but they're just too big. They're too big to fall. There's companies that are they have so many fucking we're so reliant on them. You can't get rid of them, and it's kind of irritating because there's probably good competitors out there that offer just as good. I mean, I've watched videos about Boeing and their merger and how awful their quality control has went to shit. CrowdStrike, that's another one. They should have fucking tanked. Nope, they're still fine. Yeah, you could say they're too big to fall. It sounds cringy when you say it, but they are. Too big to fail, or whatever you want to say. It sounds cringy, but But this is kind of true. when the reason like Federal Reserve, like the federal government raises interest rates so that you slow down, you pretty much it slows it down the economy. People stop borrowing as much because if you're borrowing too much money, you don't want that. If you're borrowing too much money, they don't want you to borrow so much money you can't pay it back. But obviously they lower interest rates so people can get loans and they can get longer term, people long term customers is what I would say. I mean, I don't want to say you could predict the stock market off the bond market, but you kind of can. You can kind of see which direction it's going in. Like it's a pretty good one. Commercial banks so pretty much when the central bank lowers interest rates, commercial banks can lend more easily, making loans cheaper for businesses and consumers. This is one of the primary tools for governments to stimulate or slow down the economy. Governments borrow money to finance public spending by issuing bonds. Banks are major buyers of these bonds, which are seen as low-risk interest rates paying assets. In return, the government benefits from the banks participating in funding national debt. The Federal Reserve is how the country was enslaved and is the planned nation master. I don't really agree that there's a plan. I mean, I don't think that there's a plan. I don't think they were conceiving plans in the 1930s or whenever the Federal Reserve, I think 1920s, maybe 19s. I've always said this, and I always stand by it. You don't need a shadow government or a bad plan. The government's just bad at things. You can just point to the government. You just point to the regular government. And we're supposed to get money out of the government. It's not happening. You know what I mean? There's probably some background shit that is not good and needs to be corrected, but you don't need a shadow government. You don't need a plan nation mash. You don't need all these fancy terms. You just could look at the regular government. They're doing it right in the wide open, man. They're doing it right in the open. They don't need to hide it or have this secret enslaved plan. They just suck. Control the money supply. How a certain group came into owning everything. They lower their interest, put cheap money out there. People mortgage shit, and then they reel in the money supply, and the loans default. The problem was actually the ninja loans in 2008, and the Fed's up owing everything by calling the notes. Yeah, but if the market was going to crash, it would have stopped at 2008. I mean, the ninja loans were kind of like the primary problem. There was no like secret. They were just handing out loans to everyone because they found a loophole that, like, they were like doing like the Oprah Winfrey of loans. They're like, you get a loan, you get a loan, you get a loan. We don't care if you have a pulse, you get a loan, which was irresponsible. And this is like a take that a lot of people say we should have less banking regulation. Well, that's literally less banking regulation is when anyone can get if everybody can get a loan, and you have less regulation for banking, for anything. Then in perspective, that is kind of proof that it doesn't work. You need some form of, no, we should not be giving these people loans. That was the issue. I mean, it was pretty clear sight that it was a bad idea, and no one stopped anyone. When you didn't have to. The thing is, people didn't have to. But humans make mistakes, and we learn from it. And that's when they reinforced. It happened again too. They lifted some policy that prevented shitty banking behavior and giving predatory loans to people, and then the SBC started asking for it. Yeah, but 2008 was the step up set up for BlackRock to buy the entire retail real estate market at pennies on the dollar. I don't think BlackRock owns as much real estate as everyone else, and I would like to actually look in that. Because people just say stuff, and I don't think they actually do any form of research. They just regurgitate what other people have said. And what is ownership? Because people say that BlackRock owns things. They don't own it. They're an investment company. Just because I put like $5,000 into Apple, that doesn't mean I own Apple. I just own assets into Apple. And I think people forget that BlackRock is not. They don't own these assets. They just invest into these assets. And there is a fundamental difference. I'm not glazing BlackRock or anything. I don't think that they. And I don't think it was a stepping stone. It's actually, if everyone would have held their assets through 2008, if they could have held all their assets, which they had a choice to or not, at the end of the day, they would have 50x their money too. It was a buying opportunity for everyone. It's not just like BlackRock had this secret sauce. They like saw it. Michael Burberry made a ton of money. I mean, that's literally what the Big Short is about. Is he made money doing this? You can short the market even when it's down. You can make a ton of money. That was like his whole premise. Is he saw that people were taking out loans. I'm late, but howdy y'all. What up, South Prairie Tony? Thank you for being fashionably late. Appreciate it. And that's what companies were always going to do. They're going to come in, suck up the small ones, and buy them out and own them. On a company side, but if you're just a investment firm, you're just going to scoop up like cheap investments. Again, I think people focus on BlackRock and I think they give them too much credit. They don't really do anything. BlackRock is a global investment management company that provides a range of financial services, including asset management, investing advisories, and technology solutions for institutional and retail clients. The world's largest asset manager, overseeing approximately $12 trillion in assets. Yeah, Merry Christmas, by the way, y'all. Thank you, appreciate it. Yeah, this is another thing that it's. You might as why isn't Warren Buffett I don't think people realize how big Warren Buffett's fucking Berkshire is fucking huge. I think they became the largest shareholder of Apple. They still don't own Apple at the end of the day. Still, $267 billion. That's a lot. And Japanese companies, I didn't know that. I think they are the largest owner of. Ooh. Warren Buffett was the main shareholder in BlackRock. Well, he makes good investment. He makes good. No shit. Not main, but largest. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. He's an asset man. A major holding company. While BlackRock is a global investment firm, Buffett's investment strategy focuses on buying undervalued companies for long-term growth. Buffett has cashed out, apparently. Yeah, because he's fucking old. I mean, like, what else could he do? I mean, Berkshire Hathaway could have fucking retired in the 90s. Included. I'm just saying, like, huge. He had huge ownership. He also had an insurance company. That's crazy. He had ownership of some of the biggest companies. I don't think people realize how much Berkshire Hathaway actually owns. They own a ton of shit in the U.S. too. He owned 90% of Nebraska Furniture, Scott's Fertilizer Company. I don't know He owned the World Book Encyclopedia. I did not even fucking know that. I didn't even know this. That's crazy. H.H. Brown Shoe Group, clothing. Heidelberg Diamonds, didn't know that. And these are 100% ownership. Meaning they acquired him. That's a difference. Berkshire, where they had the... I mean, and I'm not saying Warren Buffett is a good person. All I'm saying is he owns a lot, and no one ever points fingers at this fucking guy. This guy could be a fucking demon. He owns a lot of shit. Russell Brands, Business Wire, International Metalworking Company. I don't know what the fuck that is. But I believe he did cash out. I think he's like kind of. I mean, he's so old. Look at what Ram and Ari Emanuel own. But like people owning stuff doesn't bother me. I don't care. Because if people have a problem with people owning businesses, I think this is the one thing he owned that was really bad. Once people have a problem with people owning businesses, then you got to be mad at everyone. You got to be mad at Amazon. You got to be mad at Microsoft. You got to be mad at Jeff Bezos. You got to be mad at Elon Musk. You got to be mad at this. I mean, there's monopolies literally everywhere. Mind giving Wiki some money for their DI program? No, they make enough money. They'll be fine. I don't even care about DI programs. I think businesses should be able to do what they want. It's their business. The government and people should have no control over how someone runs their business. If they want to hire sexy trans girls, that's their choice. No one else's. Berkshire Hathaway direct. I forgot he did have an insurance company. I think it was pretty bad. Or was it the he owned what do you call it? Apartments or something. Not good. Also, DI programs are also like people in wheelchairs that need wheelchair access. That's DI. I mean, that's not D is not even that bad. It's not even a bad idea. I think people are just. It's funny when humans are like, you're a sheep, and then they also operate at sheep mentality. Wow. He bought a security sector. He bought a Legion PLC. What the fuck is this? Is an American Irish provider for security products in homes and businesses. Motherfucker just bought a bunch of American Express. Oh yeah, Apple. This was. I think they were the largest Apple owner. That's crazy. 280,000 shares. 1,000 or million? How many comments is that? I can't tell. That's a lot. He bought it for $1 million. 57,400,000. Oh, that's 280 million. Wait, no, there's only 2 comments. 280,000. 57,447,000. And this was in June? That's crazy. Bought Capital One. I didn't even know Capital One had a stock. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, the motherfucker is just swimming in money. So, like, he bought Domino's. He's 7%. He has 7% ownership. What's his biggest ownership? DaVita provides kidney dialysis services through a network of wow, that's crazy. Why the fuck did he buy SiriusXM? What a weird thing to buy, actually. I didn't even know SiriusXM is even still around. Like, still, like, relevant. Maybe I should buy DaVita Inc., guys. Maybe there's something there. Cooking. I don't know who Ram, Ari, and Amelia own. Oh god, the white page. Oh, my eyes. Fuck you, Wikipedia, please. Just do a dark mode. Wikipedia still can't be sold. I actually love the Wikipedia guilt trip they try to do. I think they should go more aggro with it. They're like, guys, please. Ario Zin Emanuel is an American businessman and CEO of Endeavor, an entertainment and media agency, as well as CEO, exclusive chairman on the the TKO Holdings. Yeah, I know it's a sports company. who owns the UFC and the WWE. Wow, that's crazy. I mean, WWE went down. Hell, let's be real, guys. That's never... I was raised in Illinois. He has ADHD and dyslexia. Something about rock and roll. Career. Then trainee at the Creative Arts Agency. Gave money to them. His long-standing relationship with his former client Donald Trump was well documented. Gave to Hillary Clinton after the disappearance of Washington Post Journal. What the fuck? The Saudi hit squad had assassinated him under their... Oh. After the disappearance of Washington Post journalist Jamal Khashoggi on October 2nd, 2018, and reports that Saudi hit squad had assassinated him inside their consulate of Turkey, Emanuel called White House Center Advisor Trump, son-in-law Jared Kushner. Emanuel tried to eradicate Andover from a foreign deal for the Saudi Arabia government. Urged several businesses to stop working with Kanye West over his anti-Semitic comments. He also owns Joe Rogan on it. The PGA. I mean, the second Joe Rogan inked a Spotify deal, he was his handler. No, Peter Thiel's his handler. You gotta come on. His brother was Obama's chief of staff. Their in-stake royalty. Their father's was some big-time 37 worst. That's not surprising. Nepotism is real. Yeah, Rogan. The second Rogan sold his show's rights, he lost all independent credibility. This is why you can't make fun. This is why you can't. You can't make fun of Peter Thiel on his show. You can't talk shit about him. It's not even a conspiracy. Oh. No. Oh no. Israel people exist. I mean, I don't care. See, I have this thing called free thought. Once you have free will and free thought, you kind of don't really give a shit who owns what, because you can make your own decisions. If you feel like you can't make your own decisions, then that's your problem. And people shouldn't put their problems on other people. I think that the second South Park is dunking on Peter Thiel this season, the problem is Peter Thiel is just an out-of-touch rich person. That's all it is. But my issue is, my name is Peter Thiel, and I know about the My problem mainly is Peter Thiel's ever reaching into the government's pockets and creating kind of like, I would call them like containers for people harvesting data. I mean, look at Palantir. Palantir's dog shit. South Park Satan is hilarious. South Park Satan is hilarious. Everyone can agree on that. My issue is, we're harvesting data at a higher rate than anything. Alex Karp is fucking insane. I don't know who Alex Karp is, to be honest. If it's a South Park voice actor, I know. I stopped watching South Park prior to Tigrity Farms. If that puts it anything into perspective, I thought it was lame and unfunny, and that gag went on for way too long. That's kind of the problem. I mean, and don't get me wrong. I have Palantir CEO. Oh, yeah, he's fucking insane. He's not. look, he's got to be a lizard. He can't be human. There's no way he's human. He's terrible. They're all terrible people, but and this is even like conspiracy nut. Like Palantir does nothing. They're a nothing company. People are like trying to give it this high valuation. It's just data collection. It's Google on crack. And he has this weird obsession with naming it cool shit. Palantir is a stalking machine backed up with the military. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually what it is, with government contracts. my problem is that people generally have, so like it's kind of like this. A very simple thing to understand. People aren't against war. They're against when people are oppressed and they don't have a chance to fight. We need to find shaded glasses to see the lizards. It's true. People don't have a problem with war because there are good times when war is necessary. I mean, it's just an objective fact. There's necessary times where war is necessary, but people have a problem when oppressed people look up Palantir's daddy. I need to look this up, actually. And because people have those issues, it's kind of like an internal conflict. People don't have a problem with data collection until it happens to you. Now, this is my general outlook on privacy. You don't need you need kind of we need draw.io because I need to think. Wow, I can install it. And we're going to go back to the darknet, dark net Bible. No worries. We're gonna continue to read, but people are like this. They're like in a bubble, and they kind of need, like, this is their data, and this is the thing that they're like constantly. They know it's being siphoned out of them. This is their data. And this is their data, and they know it's being sucked super hard into. I swapped to KDE after we chatted last night. Base, finally, you hit adulthood. They know it's going to one of three places. They know it's being sucked. Let's call this Facebook. They know it's them. Their data is being sucked, and it's going to Facebook, and they don't care. But when something happens, like, very simple, there's no text option. But when we get to our trusty insecure notepad, based, I'm going to compile KDE on this. You have to remember what people are now aware of I guess data collection when, if you would have said this 10 years ago, you would have found you would sound schizophrenic. And what changed? What changed to people to thinking this? Well, target ads. People think it's their microphone listening to them, and we know that's incorrect. I think most people don't know their data is being harvested, categorized, labbed, ranked, and mapped, updated. They do, and I'm going to explain why. Let me cook here. Let him cook. I'm going to cook for you real quick. And I want you to do this. I'm going to give you some hypothetical homework. If you leave your house and touch grass and talk to people, they will acknowledge this, and I promise you they'll acknowledge this. Hear me out. And we're going to see what changed. First, we're going to have a pre-date and a post-date. Let's say this is post maybe like 2015. We're going to say post 2015. I'm going to get to my main point. Post 2015, people are now aware of data collection, and this is why. Ads are super targeted. And very specific. We're going to put very specific. E. Ads are super targeted and very specific. Go, like, hear me out. People think what we knew, but 10 years ago. I'm not saying people predicted this. I'm not saying people were wrong or people are right. But we knew that ads were becoming a form of invasive privacy. People knew, not me, but people knew. People probably saw, hey, there's probably some privacy problems with this. Let's create tools to circumvent this. This is why Tor exists. This is why encryption exists. People knew. They just didn't know what to describe it as. And another thing to think about is more people are online and mobile today than ever. That's a huge difference. And I'm going to get to the main point. People think, and I'm going to use heavy quotes because it's not true, their microphone the microphone, gyroscope, accelerator are listening though. No, they're not. This has already been the zealous with the Cambridge Analytica scandal. It's been disproven. There's no proof. Link your sources. There's no proof that your microphone is listening to you. Zero. It's been proven. It's been tested. Zero proof. Link your source besides just saying the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Because it doesn't mean anything. Link your source, or I'm going to outright reject it. Because your microphone is not listening to you. You do not need your microphone to listen to you to have good fingerprinting. This has been proven. JavaScript alone can fingerprint you. A website alone can play JavaScript in the background without you knowing. It can play videos in the background without you knowing. This is a real thing, and it can fingerprint you. You do not need your microphone listening to you. Because if that was true, I could take my phone, completely wipe it, put it in an isolated incident, and repeat just specific targeted ad words, and I'm not going to get those. You can just test this yourself. Completely wipe your phone, wipe out your digital ID if you're on Android, which is allowed, and then if this is true, then why do the Cambridge Analytica scandal is when the public became aware of data harvesting. Data harvesting doesn't mean that your microphone is listening to you. That's what I'm saying. This is misinformation. This is misleading. And when you have misinformation and misleading when you have misinformation and misleading thought process, you don't have a solution to it then. You just go into the algorithm, the hacker movie. That doesn't mean anything. Algorithm, the hacker movie. The thing is, when you actually have real targeted problems in privacy and security, then you can create real solutions instead of theatrical solutions. This is what the problem with it is. The disinformation spends more time for people to disarm people so they can actually get practical reasons. Amazon devices listen to 100% of the time. That's an Amazon. We know that. That's not the microphone on your phone listening. Your phone microphone is not listening. Watch on YouTube. That doesn't mean anything. It's as Google. That's Google Home. That's literally a device that you know is on 24/7, and you can block it, or you can just unplug it or not own it. But people think, what do you think people carry on them the most? Their phones. You said the microphones, the gyroscopes, and the accelerometers are listening. They're not. This has been already proven. You can actually prove it yourself. If you have a rooted Android, you can just quite literally use Wireshark, listen onto the wire, and see where that data is going. You can turn off every single sensor, isolate the microphone, and do it yourself. This is something that, again, has been proven, that our microphones aren't listening. Isn't there 2 microphones on a phone? No. And if there is, that doesn't mean anything. You can have 30 microphones on the phone. That doesn't mean it's collecting copious amounts of data. Again, something that you need. The micro resolution is incredibly powerful and can hear you from rooms away. Yeah, but just because you could do an experiment to prove listening by using Wireshark. Yes. Yeah. You can data doesn't lie, and they've never found cell phones to be able to listen, just turn on the mic. Actually, Android in itself, in updated versions, show that the microphone, it tells you when the microphone is being active. And if people think that there's some secret code just doing it in the background, then just get off the internet. Don't even touch it. It'd be completely pointless. And I'm pretty sure Graphene OS, the developers that work on Android at the deepest, rootest level, would be like, we found a way that the phone is, and if you're that worried, you can block the microphone on a software level, and it works. I mean, it's quite common. The phones are 100% able. Able and doing are two different things. You can be capable of doing something and still not be able to do it. If it's 100% able, again, fingerprinting is so advanced, you don't need it. You don't even need your microphone to be listening to. You just don't. Just say tampons all day and you'll see tampon ads. I do. I've never gotten a tampon ad in my entire life. There are exploits to disable the mic on indicators. Sure. There's exploits, but that's special pleading and moving the goalposts. That's like, guys, there's this specific exploit that happens that violates software. Well, no shit. I mean, that's just common. That's special pleading. And again, at a base fundamental level, sure, mic fingerprinting might not be needed. Yeah, it's not needed. And it's not really a thing. Again, if your phone is exploited, then it's violating how Android handles all the security policies that are built into the Android operating system itself. So that's kind of like, my computer has an infection. It can listen to my conversations. Well, yeah, of course, because it's found a way to violate the policies that are put in place. I mean, this is what Graphene OS. I mean, not Graphene OS. This is what CubesOS essentially assumes that's already happened. So that's why it creates a stack to separate everything, and you could block it off. And I'm not trying to be combative or like, oh, it's impossible for microphones to be exploited and used against people, but are random phones just walking out everywhere, just constantly their microphone listening to them? That's crazy. That would be very inefficient to have the computing power to shift through all of this in order for it to be viable. And on top of it, not even just that, you would have to violate different forms of Android at different levels, at different price points. I mean, you would have to have teams that would have to do this on a constant, and then who, what, or is doing this. No, you're a good dude. I get it. No, I'm just trying to demystify this consensus because there's an appropriate level of paranoia here. No, 100%. It's good to be paranoid and skeptical of stuff. I'm not irated or anything, but I think instead of people focusing on, first off, Android is skinned in many ways. You could put Android on anything. It has different versions. There's ones that still run with Android 11 as the default, which is crazy. There are people that are running around with phones that are 10 to 15, probably, months, maybe a couple years out of date, even. That don't even, how would you manage all that? That sounds insane. And who's doing it? If you're saying Google's doing it, Google doesn't, Google just owns the operating system at the core level. If that's true, then Graphene OS would be kind of useless in a sense because it's open source, and because Android is open source, you kind of can audit almost everything down to the core level. And I'm pretty sure that the people that are developing Graphene OS are doing it. Flock runs Android 8.1. Yeah, of course, because Android's open source at the end of the day. Why, if I own a company, why would I put money into putting in license? Why would I rebuild something when I can get something for free? And Android 0.1, Oreo? Ew. Android Oreo, gross. And again, that's it's not needed. People hand over their data willingly, and we're going to get to the point. So, ads, super to target. Ads are super targeted. Post 2013, we actually went away from contextual-based ads to behavioral-based ads, which is privacy invasive. and again, Apple. Like, I mean, there is evidence that advertisers lose money with Apple, and because they lose money with Apple, there is some evidence that they provide a little bit higher level of privacy. But you don't know at the end of the day because Apple is a black box. Android, again, can be put on a toaster, and because it can be so divided. What about Honeycomb or Jelly Bean? Jelly Bean was the based one. That was the best one, and they should have kept it. If I could go back to Jelly Bean, based. I mean, Android really runs the world because it's such a lightweight operating system to be able to run, and it's just efficient and it's open source. People think what we knew about 10 years ago. People are online more and more mobile today. I think people are more mobile with their operating system. More people probably have access to a phone because they're cheaper, they're more efficient, and they give you internet access everywhere. And because they're more mobile today, people have, let's put this in its own subcategory. We're going to talk about, it's kind of like a subcategory. Pi sucked. I forgot about Pi. That was 10, right? Apple iOS is not 100% a black box. A significant subset of their platform is FOSS now. Yeah, you're right. You're correct. It's they probably have some form of, they have to incorporate some form of free open source software for people to work on it. Imagine having tens of thousands of employees and people working on it in order for it to be efficient. It'd be very hard for it to be 100% proprietary. My issue is Apple's promises and the way they work is very black box in its nature, and they are a trust me bro. I mean, you are in a walled garden. That is like my general concern and issue with Apple. It's not that I think that Apple is harvesting data now and selling it later. It's the lack of pure audibility, I guess, from a pure FOSS like fundamentalist issue. This is why I don't like Windows, because it's proprietary. Even though Windows security is far ahead of Linux and more efficient, just like Mac OS, but Android in itself is far ahead of desktop operating systems. Apple bureaucracy is a problem. But like Android is actually more secure than Linux because it actually enforces SE Linux policies. This is why you can't root an Android. If you do, you are violating it. I used Mac OS for 10 plus years. Oh, okay, that's fair. Unfortunate and sad for you. JK. Actually, like UniFi products. I have a UniFi router, and I think they are Apple devs or something, and that's why it's such a nice, clean, simple to understand software. Because I just have no use for OpenWRT on my router. I tried it and just I was like, no, I'm not going to use anything here. I like a single glass panel. And I would actually embrace and push, hope that UniFi actually pushes for a freer and open more source license. And even better, it was better. Yeah, it is 100% better than Windows. In some case, perspective wise. But UniFi is kind of nice too. They are allowing you to self-host a lot of their stuff with no license, which I do like. I like the lack of licensing need for certain of their products. Windows, I just don't like the proprietary nature in it. And it's bloat. It's huge bloat. I mean, Mac if I was forced to pick out of the two, I would pick Mac because it's loosely based off some FreeBSD, and it's command line driven. Its command line's a little bit nicer, and they're a little bit better with I guess I don't know. I think maybe it'd be hard. I'd have to have like a gun to my head kind of thing to pick one of those two actually. But subcategory wise, people are more mobile now and looser with their data. WSO2 is so lame. It was so lame. Oh yeah, that's Windows for Linux, right? Like where you can run like Linux in the terminal or something. Like you want to be like, Mom, can we get Linux? We have Linux at home. Linux at home. People are looser with their information, and this could be like a cultural thing that is Microsoft rides Linux nuts. Oh yeah, they're super reliant on free and open source software. They kind of need it. I mean, who wakes up and they're like, guys, let's run our web server on fucking Windows Server? Like really? Windows Server is only Windows Server is like, what is my use to run Active Directory and then nothing else? Like the Rick and Morty meme. What is my purpose? you're just an Active Directory server. Oh no. And you will be exploited in 5 days. Oh no. And I think there's some other like things. We just need open source printers. That's it, man. That's going to complete the circle. Once open source printers hit the market, the Linux circle of purity is complete. I will forever be in debt to the free and source software, even if it goes like dystopian. We need free and open source printers. That's it. That's the last puzzle. That's the last piece, man. People are looser with their information online, and this could be like again a cultural shift. And also another thing is social media / phones are, and I would say data is more accessible. If I could spell today. This is kind of it, and then people think their microphone is listening. And again, all these things are ways to track you. It's your IP address, even though we know it's really not. It's more nuanced than that. Your IP address, your MAC address. Your email, your phone number. Now you have what I would call a fingerprint. So your IP address, your MAC address, your email, your phone number, and we could even say your physical. Okay, because you have an IP address, you have a MAC address, you have an email that you probably use everywhere, you have a phone number, you have a physical address. This fingerprint makes you very unique. And because you're very unique, essentially your metadata. Now, we're going to talk about pre-2015. And I'm just picking random dates. It was kind of like a different space. But we're going to talk about post-2015. Post-2015, I think people are aware that your data is listening to you. Your microphone's listening. Your quote-unquote microphone is listening to you. I'm using heavy quotes. Please forgive me. Your social media, your social graph, and your location access does matter. I mean, these are being tracked. That's not a fucking something that I'm just throwing out the wind. And your geo data is definitely being tracked. This is why I think that microphone access does not matter. It's not really needed. People, again, are loose with their data. But now, people are aware of this thing. They're like, oh, I swear I was talking about, like Jay said, tampons, and I got like an ad for tampons later. Well, you probably searched for tampons at some point. Or your friend on the same networks searched for tampons. And because metadata is so attractive, there's something called live bidding. Live advertising, I think it's called. This is like an important topic. This is actually a really important part of it. These ad companies bid for your data live. They don't know whose it is. They don't care whose it is. They just bid for it. And it's being sold. It's being sold by your ISP. It's being sold by your mobile carrier. It's being sold. Like I said, microphone access not needed when your data is being sold. When you gave the company your data in the first place. So here's the real connection. People hand over their data and companies sell it. You use a credit card? Guess what? Your credit card just sold it. Company just sold it. You bought beer on Thursday? Your credit card company sold it. It's not illegal. They say there's no law against it. There's no law against any of this. They say they don't. They say it's protected. But they literally tell you in there, if you read any privacy policy, it tells you it's used for third-party advertising. What does that entail? Think about it. Again, you don't need a shadow government in order to have a bad government. Just point at the government. You don't need a shadow company and all these secret, super expensive sounding exploits. We are the problem. We're the product. We're handing over our data. Now, if you guys tune into my masterclass at $99.99 for a limited time, I'm just kidding. All you have to do is fake the data. It doesn't matter. If you fake the data, you falsify the data, and you hand out false information, and you clean up your privacy sphere. I'm surprised you don't have way more people watching and sub, bro. Oh, I know why people don't. Because it's kind of like it's kind of like a topic that people don't care about. We're gonna get to the issue, the other issue, besides live bidding. This goes in post 2015 as well. People are aware, and they don't care. Remember Chaff? No, I don't. People are aware and they don't care, and the worst of them all, the worst offenders, I have nothing to hide. So I want you to put that in the back of your head. Next time you're in public, just talk. This is my homework. Next time you're in public and you're talking to somebody, ask them, just bring up like, oh, our phones are listening to us. They're going to agree with you. If you were to pre-2015 of this, you're crazy. Not even kidding. Just maybe like a 5-10 year gap. Maybe 5-6 years. You're crazy. Your phone's phone listening to you. You're crazy. This is what you would probably encounter. And maybe we'll go a little back further, like Edward Snowden. Shaft was a browser extension that would spew out all the trail of nonsense to obfuscate your web traffic. Oh, no, I've never heard of that. That's cool. The problem with web extensions, we'll actually cover that too. It's kind of funny. People that do care about privacy, this is kind of like the people who care. And this isn't a shot at you or anything. People who care get fed the wrong information. I would say misleading and ineffective information. The more extensions you have, the more fingerprintable you are. You become more unique. So advertisers, back to live bidding, find you more attractive because you're trying. It's like you become more fingerprintable the more different your browser experience is. You become more unique. The more unique you are, the harder the internet looks for you. And I'm kind of using this in a semantical, like, hyperbolic way. They were one of those groups of extensions run by China. Then after like 7 years, pushed an update and turned into RSC framework. Oh, yeah, not surprised. So you should be wary of extensions. Have a lot of information. I trust very little extensions. I just try to make my browser look like everyone else. You want a gray man. You want to wear cargo pants, black shirt, mustache, giant milker t-shirt. That's it. Because if you do this, if you look like everyone else, you're harder to identify. But if you, well, your MAC address is starting to look a little sexy because it's doing a little bit difference. This is what the more badges, extensions you have, the more you stand out. This is why you shouldn't use Tor through Brave. You should keep Brave's standard defaults to the pristine. You should tweak some privacy and security things. Privacy Badger and uBlock Origins. That's it. I don't use Privacy Badger, but I use uBlock Origin, and I use Brave's native filter. It works, but whatever works for you, whatever you find the most enjoyable experience. Not everything's going to be perfect. I could be wrong. I mean, your setup could be a million times better for you than me. Just like, again, with the people who get fed the misleading information, VPNs. Oh, dude, don't even get me started on NoScript. I lived like Richard Stallman for like a fucking month, for a week, but it felt like a month. If you run anything without JavaScript, you are having a bad time. Because I was using Libre.js, and man, I wanted to put my, I hate JavaScript and JavaScript developers more than ever. What about Movad browser? I think it's got a use. I used it. I just don't find the use there, if that makes sense. It's no hate towards it. If it works for some, Movad browser is like Tor minus CAPTCHA hell. From when I did use it a lot. I used to use it a lot. I just like Brave just works for me. To be honest, it's just nice. It blocks ads. It's efficient. I have like 30 tabs open right now, and it still fucking runs. How much RAM am I using? But speaking of RAM, guys, RAM's expensive right now. Does this make me rich for having 64 gigs of RAM? What does BeefTop tell me? There we go. Oh, come on, BeefTop. Smaller fingerprint footprint than Brave. My only thing is Movad's very new. Only 30 tabs. Something like that. And I'm only using 17 gigs of RAM, baby. Woo! 14 gigs. I have 17 available. I had tabs open for another reason. Go away, BeefTop. BeefTop be telling me. I'm just saying, I'm streaming, and I have like 30 tabs open, and motherfucking, and Movad probably has a better footprint because its resolution is supposed to be the same. Everything's supposed to be kind of the same, and because it's all the same, it makes it definitely, probably, maybe more private. But it's just it's so new that you got to be careful with using it. Because we don't know what type of vulnerabilities are leaking in there. Still running cubes. Yeah. Its resolution is just bad. Because I didn't read and I'm retarded. That's the real problem. The real problem is I'm dumb. CubesOS doesn't like high resolution screens. Maybe they'll be fixed with Wayland. I'm not entirely sure. Are you running KDE VMs in your cube set? No, I was running XFCE. What's wrong with Wayland's better? I like Wayland. It's more secure. It's technically more secure because Snap garbage. Snap garbage. I get it, but Wayland isolates the GPU, and it's better than X11. And it's supposed to, and further, secure gaming. Like, it's supposed to make gaming more efficient. Look, I get the snap hate. I'm not Yeah, so Wayland isolates the GPU. X11 does not. Wayland is supposed to be a security enhancement with the like pretty much the server side of the display manager. It's supposed to solve a lot. And if there can be a way for gaming to be efficient on cubes, what they have proposed, and hopefully it does work out, if they can get people to work on it, is Wayland would be its own separate cube, and it would handle all of the display properties, essentially. It would be like a way to handle all the display manager requests, and it would be more secure and efficient. But it's got a long way to go. It's new. I mean, Xorg's been around for, what's the... How long? Xorg's been around for like ever. 21 years. Even what, X11? Sorry, X11. X11 has been around for fucking 40 years. That's crazy. Wayland has only been around since fucking 2008. We just gotta wait and give it some love. They deserve it. They did nothing wrong. So keep that in mind, guys. Next time you want to give Wayland hate. They're just trying to do better, dog. Look at that. Look at that W. That WB thick. That WB doing its job. Just remember, guys, I2P, you can also engage in I2P for obtaining legal content. But I digress. So this is pretty much what I've collected from, I guess, like an anecdotal sense is pre-2015, you're crazy. And then post-2015, people are aware, they don't care, I have nothing to hide. This is something that is generally pushed in the direction of most of the conversation, and how you get over that, and how you kind of do it in a way that's not as aggro. You actually ask them really simple private questions. Oh, you have nothing to hide? We all have something to hide. I don't care what anyone says. Cool. What's your social security? No, you don't lead with that because you sound crazy and like you're trying to scam them. They're like, oh, okay, cool. Wow. You have nothing to hide. You wouldn't show me like intimate pictures, right? Like, obviously do this with friends. Don't do this with your coworkers. You don't want to get fired. They would say, no, you're crazy. Like, no, that's wrong. Like, no, that's weird. Well, why is it weird? You have nothing to hide. You wouldn't show that to me, right? No, I wouldn't. Well, why are you showing Google for free? Why does Google get to see your titties and not me? You don't have to say it like that, but I've generally realized when you ask softball questions and you do it in a more educational and simplified way for people to understand about social graph, like a really simple thing that I explain to people, it almost like blows their mind. I'm like, hey, you have social media, right? And they're like, yeah. Have you noticed that you get friend suggestions from people that you don't remember telling that like you have access, like that you have like Facebook or anything? And they're like, yeah, actually I do. I do get friend requests. Like friend suggestions from people that like I didn't tell I have like Facebook. How does Facebook know this? I'm like, well, you have a social graph. Did you share contacts? Yeah, I did. I shared my contacts. Okay. You have their number in your phone, right? Okay. What do you think they did? You think they did the same thing? Yeah, they probably did. Well, Facebook now knows that you both have Facebook. You both know each other. So what do you think that is? Oh, yeah. So, like, they have, like, an aha moment. They're like, oh. And then they get uncomfortable for a second. They're like, that's kind of weird. I don't want my boss seeing what I post. Well, they're not going to see what you post. You should make it private. But you should make your social media private. And they're like, oh, okay. You can do that? Yeah. So they can't see what you post. It's when you... I don't want to say you have to treat people like babies. You just got to treat people like humans. Because humans make mistakes. People make mistakes. And when you treat them in a humane way... and you don't shame people for making privacy mistakes and unhygienic digital privacy, and you give them real expectations, they start to then go down their own rabbit hole. And because they go down their own rabbit hole, they eventually go from, I have nothing to hide, to, well, I have things to hide, and I don't want people to see those things, but I'm okay with them seeing this. And then it goes to, I'm going to buy Monero. You know, that's how you generally have them jump ship. When you go from a more pragmatic, when you go from a less argumentative approach, there's something called epistemology. It's kind of like a way you ask questioning people's on their level of strength for something. They're like, so like if you go up to a random person and you're like, hey, what is what is your strong opinion on I have nothing to hide? Most people will be like, I have nothing to hide. They'll be very strong in the, like, let's say, like, in the green with it. And they'll take that green and you ask really direct, simple questioning. Again, you don't have to be combative. This is the way how you disarm people. You ask innocent, non-combative questioning, and it eventually, you take this scale of I have nothing to hide to maybe I should reevaluate what I do want to hide. Like, a good example is if you're like you wouldn't want your parents to know that you are clapping cheeks. That's a weird conversation to have. That's an embarrassing conversation. You wouldn't have like that. You wouldn't want to have that conversation with your parents at any point almost in your life. Yet people celebrate pregnancy. If you really think about it, you're just like announcing that you cream pied their daughter and right in front of everyone, and everyone's celebrating, which is kind of funny, but that's not the point. So treat it like that. Like, you don't want your parents to know these kind of things, so you not necessarily just hide it from them, you avoid it. Like, you don't even get it involved. And that's how kind of privacy is. You avoid handing out your information, and you avoid giving personal information to people that you don't know. Like, I kind of like relate it like this. When you first meet somebody, within a couple minutes, if they asked for your phone number, like a site does, they would be like, no, that's weird. A normal person would be like, that's weird. I barely know you. You'd be like, no. A normal person would be like, no. Be like, eh. But a website asks for it like within a few seconds. Obviously, this is like silly because some websites might have to need it to identify you for your account and stuff. But that's how you kind of got to treat privacy when you're in public and you're going into, like, say, like a big box retail store and you're paying in cash and they're like, oh, would you like to give us your email? You can just say no. Treat it like if you just met this person. You're like, I don't even know you. Why would I give you my email? What, for 2% off next time? I'm good. And you don't have to be combative with the worker. They're just doing their job at the end of the day. But it'll be off-putting to them at first. They'll be like, why do you reject it? I offered him like $10 off or whatever. Or I got to hit my numbers for like, because like my overlords need me to, etc., stuff like that. So I had a very specific story where I rejected an email once, receipt for something. I was like, I just need a receipt. I don't want to give my email. And the person thought that I was just being combative and rude to them when I was like, I'm like, my brother, I don't want to give my email because I know I'm going to get spam and I know that it's going to be sold. And it may sound like I'm crazy, but I don't like spam and I don't like my data being sold. And they thought about it for a second. They're like, oh, I respect that. And the conversation dropped because I came at a different approach than like being aggro. Being aggro doesn't get you far with people and it doesn't change their views. And I've learned that from a long term of just having this conversation with tons of people. You slowly, your privacy, just like your privacy journey, you didn't just jump in and start doing Tor and going like full schizoid. You went slowly. You're like, maybe I could replace Google Calendar. You got to treat other people the same way. You got to like kind of go in a slow, methodical way. And that's how it's going to be with society. You have to be slow with it. You can't just force people to give up Google tomorrow and get Proton and get Proton Drive and get a password manager and get 2FA. That's not how society works. People need a sense of security that their data and like their things are going to be there tomorrow and the company is going to exist. Google has one good reputation. It's been around forever at this point. Everyone knows Google. There's a phrase for it now. Just Google it. I Googled it. Stuff like that. So like when you have that kind of mentality, when you have that culture shift really that's shoved into your vocabulary, it's very difficult to get people to care about privacy. Now we're aware of it. We're kind of at, like, I would call the second stage. Stage one, your phone's listening to you. I would say phone is listening to you. Companies are spying on you. And people are going to think you're crazy. Stage two is people are aware of privacy, they don't care. Before this, it's like you're crazy, and if it was real, I would not care. Now people are like, people are aware, and I don't care. I have nothing to hide. And then you have in the ad space, I would just call this an ad space. You have live bidding. You have people that are now aware of data collection. Ads are super targeted and very specific. People think what we knew like 10 years ago, so it's like becoming like a culture shift. Like, I know that I'm being spied on, but it goes back to I have nothing to hide, I don't care. It always goes back to that. That's the biggest part you have to get over. And I'm gonna let you on a secret. For $999 on my next course, paywall. I'm just kidding. I gotta stop doing that. It's probably not that funny. I just think of like paywalls. Now that people are aware of data collections and ads and everything, you can get them on the right path. You got to have an internal conflict and an internal issue with the current system, whether it's getting hacked, it's Windows becoming unusable, you're in a data breach that's very sensitive, and you get a $3 fucking kickback for being part of it. Thank you, class action lawsuit. We love you. We appreciate you. You don't care about the people. You get in a class action lawsuit. Your data gets sold. Your pictures get leaked. Whatever it be, everyone has, I would say, their awakening moment, and it's got to be something that's fundamentally tied to you on a core level. You can't just go up to someone and be like, hey, your data is being collected about you. You should switch to Proton. You're not going to have a need. Even if it's easy. Even if you make it the easiest, they're like, hey, why would you want to use Gmail? Gmail's collecting all your information. And you're going to be like, I don't care. They're giving me 15 gigs free. I love Gmail. They're no. What is this Proton? Proton, never heard of it. No, thank you. Kind of like thing. Like that's the type of individuals you're going to reach. But if you, instead of starting with that, you're like, hey man, doesn't it suck? I hate getting spam. Spam sucks. I hate getting spam emails. They'll be like, yeah, dude, me too. You know, like, that's how it starts. You got to plant like tiny seeds in these people's brains almost. Because we got to relearn. We got to relearn as a society. We got to relearn as people. We got to relearn as always, and we got to adjust. We got to constantly adjust. Those adjustments are always going to be needed too. No matter how good your privacy is, you're always going to need adjustments. Not everyone is super big brain. So, pretty much, then you got to have people understand that there's targeted ads. they're loose with their information, how to tighten it up. It's very hard, obviously, if it's on the internet, it's very difficult to actually get removed. But there's things you can do to remove it and be as efficient as possible. You could use like an inexpensive data removal tool and then go in and manually do it yourself every couple months until it's filled with like false information, and then maybe change some like things, like change your number and let the information that's connected to you live on the internet. So it's just a false narrative. It doesn't even matter. That's what you need to do. If you need to fake the information as much as possible, that where it's legal, absolutely do it. If it's not illegal, then there's nothing wrong with it. That's what you should be doing, is taking your information and making it such a shit show to shift through, like, and go through and find it, like, who actually owns it. Is like make you annoying to find, and you will come out like on top, essentially, because like the harder and more annoying you are to find, the better. And that's kind of like, the perspective wise. But I have given you guys an hour and 38 minutes of my time. I appreciate everyone that has come by, commented, and got involved in the community, because that's what it's about. It's based cool, and I enjoy and loved everyone that has stopped by. Make sure that you pour snow onto your snowman on December 4th, 2025, because if you don't, they will melt and you will not have a good time. Don't forget to feed your pet snail, and I appreciate you all, guys. I will see you in the next video.